Hello, math people. So we are working, as you know, on evaluating algebraic expressions. That is our target. That's our grade level standard that we're trying to get to. But I've kind of noticed that there are some folks, most folks, many folks, who are struggling with something that's going to prevent you from being able to do that. So let's make sure we've got that skill down first before I expect you to evaluate algebraic expressions. And what that skill is recognizing algebraic operators. Operators meaning add, subtract, multiply, and divide. So for instance, if I give you an expression like 5x minus 2y plus z over 8 minus 3 parentheses 4. If you don't understand what all those symbols mean, you're not going to be able to evaluate or solve the equation or expression. So let's make sure that we understand that, for instance, this means to multiply. Right? When we have a number and a variable right next to each other, that means to multiply. When they show us this symbol in algebra, guess what it means? It means to subtract, just like it does in regular math. Okay? When they show us this, minus 2y, again, that's going to mean to multiply. How do we know? Because the 2 and the y are just stuck together with nothing in between. This plus sign expects us to add. Now, how about this thing here? What is this little symbol and this little expression here talking about? Well, when we see the slash sign, or in other words, when something looks like a fraction, they want us to divide. Here's another minus sign, so guess what? They want us to subtract. And here we have some parentheses being used in an interesting way. 3 parentheses 4. It's almost like 4 is in a little cage there. And they want us to multiply. Okay, so those are the kind of things that we're going to be trying to make sure that everybody feels strong about. So I'm going to review that super quick, and then I'm going to give you some questions to do on your Ed puzzle. So the first thing is that I'm going to give you some examples of what it might look like in algebra if we're doing these things. So if I'm going to add in algebra, guess what it might look like? Go ahead and answer that now. So I hope you said that when we add in algebra, there's one thing and one thing only, and that's the plus sign. So whether we're adding two constants, which are numbers, like 3 plus 6, we would use a plus sign. If we're adding variables, say we're adding b plus c, we would use a plus sign. If we're adding a variable to a number, such as w plus 8, in every instance, we're just going to use a plus sign. There's no other fancy creative ways that they're going to show you addition. It's always just going to be a plus sign, so you can kind of relax about that. How about subtracting? Can you think about how we might show subtraction in algebra? Go ahead and answer that now. So I hope you knew that in algebra, subtraction is simply done with a minus sign. There's nothing fancy about it. It's just a minus sign. So whenever you see a minus sign, it means to subtract. If you don't see a minus sign, don't subtract. In other words, there's no tricky or fancy ways to show subtraction. It's just a minus sign. So if I want to show that I'm subtracting two numbers together, two constants together, it's 6 minus 5. I just use a minus sign. If I want to show that I'm subtracting two variables from one another, z minus y. Once again, I just use the subtraction sign. If I want to show that I'm subtracting something like a variable from a number, I might say 10 minus e. In all of those examples, I'm just using a minus sign. Okay, but now it starts to get a little bit trickier, right? So when I want to multiply, what ways can I show multiplication in algebra? Go ahead and answer that now. All right, even though we don't use it anymore, I'm going to go ahead and put an X here for multiply. Okay, just because it's easier to show that symbol. So here are the ways that we show multiplication in algebra. We do not use x, this x here, to show multiplication, because x is a variable and it would get very confusing. So to show multiplication, there's a few ways to do it. If I want to show that I'm just multiplying two numbers together, then I'm going to say 9 parentheses 3. That means 9 times 3. You'll notice there's no little x guy because we don't use that anymore. But if we want to multiply two numbers, 9 parentheses 3, okay? We can also say 12p, meaning I'm going to multiply 12 and p. There's no little x. There's no symbol at all, really. It's just 12 and p stuck together. That means to multiply. And the last one we'll talk about is what if I want to, just kidding, what if I want to multiply two variables together, j and k? If I want to show that I'm multiplying two variables together, I just write them stuck together. There's no symbol, there's no parentheses, there's no nothing. I'm just showing that they're stuck together. Okay, last one. How do we show division? Go ahead and answer that now. How would we show division in algebra? Okay, so there's two basic ways that we can do this. One is to make a slash mark. They're both kind of the same. They just look slightly different. So if I want to show 20 divided by 5, I can make a slash mark like that. And that's going to work even if I'm using variables. So m divided by k would look like that. Okay, it'll always work. So what if I want to show a divided by 3? I can do it the same. So when that slash mark, some people are getting this mixed up with a minus sign, but it certainly isn't, is it? A minus sign goes this way, side to side. This dividing thing goes kind of slanted and up and down. So that's how we're going to show it. Now, sometimes we might show it by making things look like a fraction. So if I want to show x divided by 2, then I'm going to show it like that. If it looks like a fraction, then it's going to be division. Okay? You might say, well, Miss Alice, that looks an awful lot like a minus sign. Here's how it's different. If I want to show x minus 2, then the minus sign is going to be between the two, like that, not above or below it. Last one. If I want to show 50 divided by 8, then I'm going to write it like that. So whether you see a slash sign or a fraction-y looking thing, that means to divide. Okay, hope that is clear for you. All right, now let's just do a little bit of quizzing here. Whoops, let me turn my phone off. Let's do a little bit of quizzing. So I'm going to grab these little sticky notes and I'm going to pull them. Whoops, I'm still on draw and I don't want to be on draw. Here we go. So I'm going to grab the sticky notes and I'm going to pull them and then I'm going to ask you to answer where should I put it. Okay, so for example, 7 parentheses 8. Where's that going to go? Is that one way that we show addition, subtraction, multiplication, or division? Well, if you've been paying attention, you know that 7 parentheses 8 is one way that we can show multiplication. So I'll put it up there. Okay? All right, so that's your first example. The rest you're going to do on your own. Ladies and gentlemen, where am I going to put 9H? Where am I going to put 9H? Okay, I hope you knew that we're going to put 9H because the number and the letter, or in other words, the coefficient and the variable are right next to each other. They're showing us multiplication. Let's look at this next one. 6 plus K. What is it asking us to do? I hope that you were listening earlier when I said there's nothing tricky about adding in algebra. They're always just going to show us a plus sign. So that's just showing us to add. Okay, let's do the next one. How about G minus 2? Where should that little puppy go? Right on. Subtraction and addition are similar in that they just use a good old plus sign and a good old minus sign. There's nothing confusing about that. How about this one? 16 slash 4. What are they asking us to do with this one? They are asking us to divide. Okay, they're giving us a slash. They're kind of making it look like a fraction. That means to divide. Next one, 4W. Where does this one need to go? I hope you know that this one is very much like the last one you did for multiplication. So 9H. They're just stuck together. There's no symbols. There's no nothing. So that means that we're showing multiplication. Here's another one. How about X minus Y? Where should that go? All right, I think you're probably getting this by now. That is subtraction. And there's no other way to show subtraction other than a minus sign. All right, how about this one? 9/m. 9/m is showing me division. There's that slashy thing, kind of looking like a fraction. That is division. How about this one? 6 / 5. What are they asking us to do here? They're asking us to multiply. Okay. How about JP? What is JP asking us to do? I've got two variables right next to each other. What is that telling me? I sure hoped you picked multiply. Remember, when there's no symbols, there's no slash mark, there's no minus sign, there's no plus sign, there's no nothing. And we're just kind of squishing those things together. That is a dead giveaway that it means to multiply. Okay. How about this one? D/2. What does that want us to do? They want us to divide. Okay. Last one, B+1. Well, that's a hard one. What do you think, guys? What do they want us to do? They want us to add. The only way to show addition is with a plus sign. The only way to show subtraction is with a minus sign. It's only with multiplying and dividing that it looks a little different in algebra. Okay, I hope that was helpful. I hope you guys have a wonderful, wonderful day. Thank you for listening and doing this assignment, and I will see you soon.